live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Yes, it is. Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. It is April 5th. It is Wednesday. Thanks so much for being with us. We're going to go in depth on a number of topics tonight, looking at the situation in both Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon, speaking with the folks at Snowbird about interlodge and what that means for skiers and riders. Also, what things mean for you when it comes to flooding. What can you do right now around your homes to best prepare? And can you believe it? Some of this large wildlife, like mountain lions per se, still lurking around. We spoke to a homeowner who captured one on camera. Now, before we get there, we must dive into our headlines. Take a look at what we're seeing right now, KUTV.com. Another round of jury selection wrapped up for Lori Vallow Daybell's trial. This wrapped up today. 5 more jurors have been added to the pool, bringing the total to 35 of the 42 that are needed. Also making headlines right now, former President Donald Trump now defending himself in criminal court while running for president at the same time. Trump will be on the road campaigning again next week. His next court appearance set for December 4th. Also making headlines tonight, Utah lawmakers and sexual assault survivors gathering at the Capitol today to mark the start of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The advocates are celebrating new Utah laws, but says there's still plenty of work to do. And also, have you played this sport? A professional pickleball tournament happening right now through Saturday in St. George. On average, these pickleball tournaments have an estimated economic impact of just under $3 million for the St. George area. As we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch with us during the show. Use the hashtag 2NewsLive to join the conversation. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Always send a direct message there to weigh in. Let's talk about it. Not everyone is sick of the snow. Have you seen this video yet? It's about to go viral. It's Francis playing with the ball, romping through, gosh, looks like more than a foot of snow over the last few days in Sugar House.
If you don't know Francis, Francis is my dog, and you can see I measured about 16 inches this morning. That's a little too much for Francis. He doesn't really like the snow. However, he goes nuts for these big balls. And I threw it out in the yard, and he just dived right into the snow. A little struggling, gets high-centered just a bit with all that.
He's defeated right in this moment, but
it's a good workout.
You know what? Just preparing himself for the summer months when he has free reign of the backyard.
That's right.
Meteorologist Chase Thomason joining us here on 2 News Live. Chase, just impressive numbers in this graphic behind us. We've been talking about snowpack. I mean, goodness, statewide, 200% of normal. That would mean what? Double the amount basically, so 2 years?
More than 2 years worth of snow in our mountains right now. And what's most impressive is that snow water equivalent, how much water is in the snowpack, approaching 30 inches, which breaks every record since 1920.
316 down here in the Washington County area. Some of the other basins, 283, eastern Utah. I mean, that's massive.
That's compared to normal.
Yep.
It's not saying that southern Utah has more snow than northern Utah. Northern Utah does. However, compared to what they typically see, very impressive for them.
All impressive. I mean, top to bottom here.
That's
right.
You
can't go wrong.
And we're now going to be drying out, which is, I think, a bit of good news. What everybody has been wanting now, and that's fine. We want to dry out. Take a look at these impressive valley snow totals, though. Sandy and Bountiful picking up more than 2 feet of snow since Sunday night. Lake Town, Bear Lake, Logan, 25 inches, Alpine, 2 feet, Sugar House, 22 inches, Kaysville, 21, West Jordan, Magna, 19, 15, and Springville, Eden, Liberty area, over a foot of snow. Quite the storm, lasting about 3 days. Now we have some drier air beginning to move in, and temperatures this afternoon. It's cold, but with the sunshine, it feels nice at 40 degrees in Salt Lake, 37 in Ogden and Provo, currently at 35 degrees. We still have a couple flurries out in eastern Utah, far northern Utah, up towards Brigham City and Cache Valley. Nothing significant impacting your evening commute, and tonight those skies will continue to clear. However, it's going to get cold. There's still a lot of snow on the ground. Cache Valley, you're going to be right around 11 in Logan, 8 in Park City, and low 20s along the Wasatch Front. Teens in central Utah tonight, 32 in St. George. And tomorrow we'll start that warming trend. Now, average is 60 in Salt Lake City, and we're still about 15 degrees below that average, mid-40s expected, but it is warmer than today, and it's going to be sunny, so melting a lot of that snow. Upper 40s in central Utah, 63 down in St. George. So those flurries that we have right now, they're going to go away by about 10 o'clock. Notice the clearing conditions, and we'll have plenty of sunshine for your Thursday. There's going to be a storm system approaching Utah later in the week, but it's going to stay to our north. What it's going to do is bring in some high clouds Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. You can see just a couple light showers north of Utah. That means if you have any outdoor plans this weekend, it looks really nice, and those temperatures will continue to climb as we head into your Easter Sunday. So on Easter, up in Logan, I should say, those temperatures will finally start to warm. It's gonna take some time to melt some of that snow, but how about 57 degrees by Sunday? Salt Lake, beautiful weather, 67 degrees. If you're headed to church, you probably don't need a jacket later in the afternoon. You might in the morning. Park City, 55 degrees, and it will be very warm down in southern Utah with St. George coming in at 80, and it might get even warmer next week. St. George tonight, 32. You go to 63 tomorrow, and then closer to normal on Friday. Few clouds, 75 on Saturday, 80 Sunday, mid-80s by Monday and Tuesday, and our winds begin to increase next week. There might be a cold front coming our way sometime next week, but right now, next 6 to 7 days are looking quiet statewide. 21 tonight, we'll go to 47 tomorrow, 50s on Friday and on Saturday. Sunday, 67, and then our warmest days will be early next week. Not a typo. Here we go. Low 70s, which is actually only about 10 degrees above normal. So if you are concerned about flooding, right now I'm not seeing it. However, those rivers and streams are going to be running high and fast because that low-level snowpack begins to melt with these milder temperatures. We're not seeing 80s or 90s, which would be really bad to see to really melt all that snowpack.
So is this the gradual warm-up we were talking about, hoping for a little bit each day, or is this still pretty steep?
It is a steep climb, but again, for flooding concerns, I think it's still a gradual warm-up because, again, normal is 60 for this time of year, so we're only seeing temperatures, roughly 10 degrees above normal, not the record-breaking temperatures that we might fear when we have all this snow.
Well, speaking of flooding, speaking of the Great Salt Lake, which has been a topic of conversation, of course, as that grows in feet. Chase will join us in just a few minutes to talk about that. We're going to continue to track the warm-up. Download our 2 News weather app to know about changes in your neighborhood. Get updated forecasts and live radar right to your phone. The app is free to download. All right, we've been wanting to show you some of these photos from Snowbird. This is from today. So you can see them on your screen. They have been digging out, just like their friends up the street at Alta. This crew member using a snowblower, some using the shovel. Hey, you'll take whatever you can get at this point. It's just been an ongoing situation for our resorts. Now let's take a live look near the resort tonight, right behind me here. I'm hopeful to see somebody at least enjoying the spa here, but not from this far out. Look at some of the large snowbanks on top of parts of the structures here. There's a fire station just nearby here. There is so much snow up there, and finally the sun coming out, starting to hit the slopes that come down here towards the Cliff Lodge area. So a beautiful picture. Not many people up there to enjoy it right now. I did have the chance to speak with the folks at Snowbird earlier today about how things have been going this week. Take a listen. How do you describe the last few days for not just Snowbird, but your neighbors at Alta and Little Cottonwood Canyon, that area as a whole?
It has been a record-breaking storm. Here at Snowbird, we surpassed our all-time snow record, which was set in 2010-11 of 783 inches of snow. We are now at 808 inches, so well above that all-time record. And, this storm has been just quite the beast for everyone.
It's been a beast for everybody, and this winter's been a beast for everybody who's spent time digging out, making sure visitors can have the recreation that they came to enjoy, right? I mean, how much strain has this put on your team this winter?
Our teams have been working around the clock, digging out the resort, doing avalanche mitigation, helping make sure that our guests are comfortable. Like you said, not just during the past several days, but this entire winter. We pulled some stats as we got closer to our record, and we've had almost 50 days this season where we've had 6 inches or more of snow. Well, mixed it up there a little bit. Also wanted to show you how things were going at Alta as well. So lots of snow at Alta, obviously just down the street at Snowbird, dealing with the same thing. Talking about flooding, we've talked a lot about it here on 2 News Live. To protect your home from potential flooding, state and local emergency managers recommend you buy flood insurance. Aside from that, are several things
you can do right now to protect your home that don't really cost much at all. Christina Flores live for us tonight in Murray. Christina, you talked about flood insurance, but also what are some of those new tips that you learned today?
Well, one of the really important tips, whether you live near a creek like Little Cottonwood Creek or you don't, this is the year to get some sandbags just in case. A lot of communities are providing them already right now for free. So that's one thing that everyone can do now. It costs no money. The second thing that you can do that also costs no money is walk around your house, walk around your property, whether it's an apartment or a house, and look to see where the water is going now that all that snow is melting. Salt Lake County Emergency Management Director says if you already see that water is moving toward your house or it's pooling near your house, then maybe what you should do is go get a shovel, dig a little trench, and create a path for the water so it goes away from your property. So that doesn't cost you any money, might cost you a little work. The other thing that you can do that will cost money if you don't already have one is get a sump pump. If you have a sump pump basin in your basement, check and see that that pump is working in good working order. If you don't have one and you want to put one in your window well, then you might have to invest in one. Brian, today I was checking around. They cost about $200 to $300. I understand the recommendation is at least a third horsepower to make sure that it gets all of that water out of your house in the event it goes in. So just go around, do all that checking, decide what you need, because you don't want to wait until things really start flowing and the water starts gushing into your house to do all of these things. By then it would be too late.
Well, Christina, obviously $200 to $300 is a lot for some folks up front, but rather have that than what could come next, which could cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. Hey, I know you've talked about insurance, and I know that at this point it seems to be a little bit later in the game. Is there still an opportunity for people to take part in looking into flood insurance? And if so, what does that look like for weeks down the road, though? Because doesn't it take some time to go into effect?
It does. So right now, today, I know for sure that you can still get an insurance policy, but the thing to remember is that once you buy the policy, it is not effective the very next day. There's usually a waiting period of between 2 weeks and 30 days. So you need to understand that if you're thinking about it, you think you want to do it, you may want to jump on it quickly. The other thing that's happened in other places where there have been disasters on a wide scale, like California, for example, with all the flooding, after all the flooding happened, a lot of companies decided they were not going to write any more new policies. So oftentimes they hold a moratorium where they cancel new policies or maybe even renewals. So really, if you want to do it, you're thinking about it, something you can afford, now's the time to do it.
Christina Flores live for us tonight with some really good tips for things you can do around your home right now, some things that don't cost much at all. Thank you so much. And obviously, you can see more of Christina's write-up tonight, KUTV.com, also in our shows as well on the air. Chase back with us. We're going to talk more about flooding at another time because the conversation's definitely not over. But something you were mentioning at 4 o'clock when we joined each other on the news there, you were mentioning this is the topic people keep asking you about. Where are we at with the Great Salt Lake?
Top of mind is the Great Salt Lake right now. Of course, we talk about how low it's been. The all-time low happened 5 months ago, November 6th, back in 2022. This is the elevation of the lake, sitting at 4,188 feet. Now, normal lake level is 4,200, give or take. We've climbed 3 feet when it comes to the elevation of the Great Salt Lake in 5 months.
Sounds impressive. Is that impressive?
Very impressive, because typically we don't see the lake climb during the winter months. We typically see that when we see the spring runoff.
So there's still more chance for this to maybe. What would you think? A couple feet at this point?
I looked at 2011. That is probably the closest season to what we're seeing right now in recent memory. And we did climb about 4 feet with that spring runoff. So on average, on a very wet year, maybe 3 to 5 feet, especially if we do conserve the water, we still want to do that. We might climb 5 feet. Say that's best case scenario. We would get to 4,196. We're still about 5 feet away from normal lake level. So even with this historic snowpack, we're not going to get back to normal. But we're making a huge dent, which is very impressive, which we're loving, of course. But this means that we probably need another winter or two to get back to normal lake levels.
Have to imagine this was not expected.
No, not at all.
Especially months ago.
I'm surprised to see this. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
Pleasantly surprised. So, we talk about how much water we've had over the last several months. This just shows you, that it has been helping the Great Salt Lake. But again, we're still well below normal. We got to keep it going.
All right. Thank you, Chase. A mountain lion spotted in the front yard and driveway of a home just above Weber State University. Keeping you here for this one because obviously you love the cats. Spoke with David Mallory, the man who encountered this cougar, to get his initial reaction of the situation. Take a listen.
And just walked up the driveway and kind of paused at the end of the driveway. And when I first realized it was something as big as it was, kind of took a step or two back and kind of thought to grab my phone, took a couple of still shots, and then got just a small snippet of video just as it kind of left. And then, of course, my first thought after that was we have some neighbors with some pets that we enjoy having to come over for visits sometime in the evenings for a snack before they go to bed. And so I called all the neighbors and just said, hey, don't let your pets out tonight. And after that, just wasn't sure what to do. So I called 911 just to make people aware that there was something kind of moving around. And they had folks from the Utah Department of Wildlife Resources give me a call and chatted for a little bit. And I think there had already been another reporting of a mountain lion somewhere maybe not far from here. The folks with Utah DWR were very kind to share some good information and some advice with us, and just kind of let us know that hey, these big mountain lions, their main food source is deer, and on any given day we have probably 10 or 15 deer just here in our yard or the next door neighbor's yard. So I think with all the snow that we've had and the lack of food resources up above us here, it's certainly driven a lot more deer down than we normally see.
Well, the deer come down, the cougar's going to come down too.
Yeah, and we've seen this a ton this year too. Obviously, with the elk that migrated across into the Salt Lake Country Club, living that country club life for at least a few months.
I mean, it's not a bad life.
No,
you can't blame the elk.
They chose wisely at this point, but this is not uncommon. Especially, I mean, I've done a number of stories on this too, and we did go to Ogden to talk about this very thing, looking at mountain lions coming down, chasing their food source, and this is to be expected.
That's right.
It's just, at this point, it's become a little bit more frequent for people because of those heavy snow levels at the high elevations, something you and I have talked about for the last few months at this point.
I mean, they're dangerous creatures, but typically we don't see them attacking your pets or young children, but something to always keep your eye on just in case.
If you see anything like this, use that chime in feature on our website, KUTV.com. All right, happening less than 15 minutes from now, the Utah chapter of March for Our Lives holding a rally at the Utah State Capitol. We do have a live look from the Capitol, I'm told. Here it is. The national chapter of March for Our Lives, formed after the Parkland, Florida high school shooting. It's urging rallies nationwide. Utah families, students, community members are coming together to ask state lawmakers to take action to reduce gun violence here. Beautiful shot from the Capitol right now. The rally starting just a few minutes ago. Expecting speeches from student activists, community leaders. There will also be a moment of silence to honor victims of gun violence. Be sure to join us on 2 News at 6 o'clock for a live look at the rally. All right, let's take a look at what's trending right now, KUTV.com. If you can see them right here, there are a couple stories on our website that we've talked about briefly in some of our newscasts. The top story right now trending: pedestrian struck and killed by a snowplow in Weber County. This was not a municipal snowplow. This was not a UDOT snowplow. This was a private company. This has been the case with obviously a lot of landscaping companies, private contract companies out and about working for different companies to remove snow. That appears to be the case in this trending story right now on our website. Also, out of Washington State, a massive gray whale washing ashore was not alive, at least to my last check, but 41 feet. Just a massive gray whale. That is the second story in our trending. And then right now, obviously, talking about weather, right? Multiple feet of snow reported at certain locations over the last few days. You can check out all of these stories and just so much more right now on our website, including some photos I got of the avalanche debris across Little Cottonwood Canyon, the roadway from earlier this morning. Great photo gallery up there. Be sure to head to our website, KUTV.com. Check it out. Also available on the 2 News mobile app. You can download that on your Apple App Store or Google Play. Well, if you look up in the sky, you might get to see a pink moon tonight. Here's what that kind of looks like. Obviously, in your screen, it looks orange. It won't actually be pink.
It won't be pink.
But it is a
It's called
full
the
moon.
pink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more of the naming here rather than actually what you're going to get. But it is named pink as a nod to flowers, trees, all of those things that bloom during the spring
We
months.
should just call it a white moon here in Utah, right? Because where's spring? Where's the pink flowers?
That's your job to
We're
tell
not
us.
seeing it.
It's here soon
Hey,
enough.
maybe
at this
next
point.
week we're going to start to see some of those buds, right? Also keep an eye out for Venus and Mars. They'll be out and relatively close to the moon in the night sky. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply to us, but later this month, a total solar eclipse will be visible to those in Australia, Southeast Asia, and Antarctica.
Well, for now, people can actually look up, right? Most of the snow has cleared out, at least at this point. And some of those blue skies, we just saw that live look from our capital tonight. In downtown Salt Lake City, the sun is out, it is beautiful. We just showed you the picture from Snowbird. Also the case there, so ample opportunity to
Yeah,
take a
any
look.
evening plans though, because with the clearing skies and all the snow on the ground, one of the coldest April nights we've had in quite some time.
Concern for wet roads, maybe black ice out there tonight too.
Potentially, especially those off ramps and on ramps where there's still probably a little bit of slush. It's melting, but it might refreeze. Especially with the melting snow, it means that those roads will likely stay wet for a couple more days, so there could be pockets of black ice overnight.
Thanks for joining us for 2 News Live. We're back here tomorrow night. We're with you Monday through Friday at 5:30. Hope you'll join us again for more of those conversations, in-depth thoughts, and diving into some topics that mean something to you, like the flooding advice today from Christina. Just some great advice for you to take around your home. Hope you'll join us tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Have a good night.